Well, I am so excited to have my good friend, mentor, the iconoclast that is Erwin McManus.
Hey Eric, how you doing, bro?
I am good. Thank you so much for joining me for a few minutes. Loved, obviously, my season with you at Mosaic, but LA is a fast moving place. And in the last 7 years, I'm curious, how have you seen Mosaic engage Los Angeles in reaching more people really than ever before?
Yeah, it's really been the best time in our lives, and I mean, you know what it's like to be out here, and um, the contrast in LA that it is from even like Orange County and the Valley and inland, that um, it would be more highly liberal, kind of anti-Christianity. 2 years ago, we did a survey on Easter. We had over 1,000 people who said, "I'm an atheist.
Hmm.
And if God were out there, I'd want him to find me."
Wow.
And so I think one of the unique things about Mosaic is how many atheists come, how many agnostics. In fact, yesterday I had lunch with someone for the very first time, and they told me they brought their rabbi with them. And the first time their rabbi came, their rabbi gave their life to Jesus.
Wow.
and and I thought that just so uh, expresses who Mosaic is. It's the place where people would bring the rabbi, and the rabbi would find Christ. It's just
Uh,
it's a wonderful place to be.
that's so amazing. Well, we've been talking obviously all these years, and there was a season though, it felt like you sensed, God guiding you to do something that kind of took the spiritual temperature up a notch. That you were started seeing more people baptized, more people kind of crossing that line of faith. What were some of the things that you did and Mosaic did to see that kind of response?
Well, I think some of it was that we just, when I came here 25 years ago, we were pounding really hard ground. And so it doesn't look like you're being effective, but you're actually being effective in phase one.
Hmm.
You have to begin to till up hard ground.
Hmm.
And a lot of people don't want to do that because they want instantaneous success. They want immediate proof that what they're doing has merit and value. And you know as well as I do, you were here and you were moving boulders from the land. You were pounding hard ground. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times what we had people who were in, witchcraft and Wiccan, and we our friends, coming to Christ out of vampirism and I mean, some really dark places. That's not when Jesus says, "Behold, the fields are ripe to harvest." He wasn't pointing at our field. He's saying, "Your field is really hard, and you got to get in there. You got to dig deep." And so some of it I'd say is like we spent 20 years pounding the ground, tilling it, seeding it, watering it, caring for it. So some of it I feel like we're reaping the
Hmm.
benefit of 25 years of hard work. But on a purely like um, technical scale,
Yeah.
I started. I've always been an uncomfortable evangelist. Like I love bringing people to faith one on one, one on few. I'm always a little bit uncomfortable in a large setting. I'm really good at opening up people's minds to Jesus, making them long for Jesus. You know as well as you. I'm a terrible closer, and and about anything. I couldn't sell a vacuum cleaner if my family was starving, and I never wanted to be seen as a salesman. But my kids, they Aaron and Mariah, they got really involved in the church, and they just really believed that people were waiting to come to faith, and they just encouraged me, "Hey, Dad, you have this gifting. You just need to always be asking people to give their lives to Jesus in every setting you're in, no matter what, no matter how uncomfortable you are. You just need to do this." And I had a large company, and I lost millions of dollars in one day due to unethical um, activities for my partner and stuff like that. Um, and I came in, and I just felt like God was just doing a new work in my own life.
Hmm.
And I shared the story of losing millions of dollars and recovering from that. And I asked people to give their lives to Christ. And I think that first day when I came back from the business world back into the church, we had, I think, 82 people who came to Christ and were spontaneously baptized. And then the next month we did it again. They had like 68 people. And so we used to baptize like, maybe 100 people a
Yeah.
year max,
Every year. That's right.
I mean, I think our record was 119 because that was like, wow, this is amazing. And we baptized almost that many in one day.
Yeah.
And we started seeing 500 people baptized a year, 400 or 500. And just people literally coming out of atheism on that day, giving their lives to Christ. And it's been beautiful. I mean, we've seen thousands upon thousands of people give their lives to Christ in the last 3 years. And it's been extraordinary.
That is extraordinary. And even just the glimpses I've been able to come out, whether it was, Mosaic conference last year. I mean, you had people stand up, turn their lights on if they're ready to let the light of God come inside, come and lead them. And the room was lit up. I mean, it's just such an exciting season. It's just been amazing.
Yeah, even like at our conference, which we're having this September 21st to 23rd in downtown LA at the Ace Hotel, unbelieving people come to that. I mean, I just have so many friends who are lost. I have so many friends that don't believe in God. And I think that's a huge part of it, is that it's just a part of, who I am. It's part of my life. These are people I care about and love. And, but it is funny, at conference, people are giving their life to Christ.
Yeah.
Who would expect that at a
Right.
church conference, right?
All these pastors from across the planet come and get to see the people sitting next to them follow Jesus. It's awesome.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, I invited a friend of mine who's from Israel who makes the jewelry that I wear.
Yeah.
And he had never been to Mosaic, and he came to the conference. And when I walked off the stage, he came and ran to me backstage. He goes, "Where the F have you been hiding this?"
He didn't say F, by the way.
No, he didn't. No, he was very expressive. And I thought, this is like the wonder of it. These are the people that make Mosaic up. Because 5 years ago, I have friends today who are so deeply involved in Mosaic. And the first day I met them, they said, "My name is this, and I'm an atheist." Like it was like an AA program. They just wanted me to know right away. And what they were saying to me is, "I'm not open. Just move on. I'm not worth the time." And they proved to be wrong.
Yeah, that's right. Well, mosaic.org/conference for all the details on this amazing event. And then, streaming. People can watch at mosaic.org and see, one of the things that we've talked about and just has been fun to witness, as Aaron and Mariah have gotten involved and this new group of leaders have emerged, the singing is not the same as when I left 7 years ago.
Well, bro, when you were here, there was no singing.
We would watch the band sing, but now, it's 30 minutes of original music, and now, the Mosaic MSC is touring all over America when people can convince them to leave LA for a few days, but that was intentional too. That was something I know was on your heart. How did you move the not just the band, but the community to engage in that sort of way? Because I think that's part of why you're seeing so many more come to faith.
That's true. I feel like we have a social experiment that proves that worship softens a hardened heart, and that people experience the presence of God before they believe in the reality of God. And it's a great way of winning an argument. It's kind of like I like her. I don't like her, but I'm in love with her. I think people feel the love of God before they actually want to believe in Him.
That's beautiful.
And I give all that to my daughter, Mariah McManus. She came in and led the way. She called people on the carpet if they didn't have a deep walk with Jesus, if they didn't love God passionately. She didn't want them involved in the ministry, on her team. And she just really drew a line and said, this is a place where Jesus is going to be lifted up and worshiped, and we're going to believe that we create an environment where people have an undeniable encounter with God. And it was pretty powerful. And writing music that fits our culture, our style, our language, that speaks to everyone, both those who believe and those who do not. And it's been really fun to watch. The music is amazing. It's electric. But I did a few things, I helped a little bit, in creating the culture. And I started saying every week, leave cool at the door. And I just say, look, I know everybody knows you're cool, but here you got to leave cool at the door. Sometimes you have to leave your jacket at the door, whatever, but we had to leave cool at the door. And he said, I know you're too cool to sing, but except I see you in your car and you're singing Beyonce and you're not even a girl. You're singing Kanye, but you're not Hood. And so you sing all kinds of stuff that isn't really true to your story. So you can sing these songs with us. And we just started getting people involved in the experience of it. And I would come up in the middle of worship and I'd just say, hey, we're going to do that again. We're going to try this song one more time. And this time I want you to stop worrying about people. And I just want you to let this moment to seep into your soul. And my daughter's very competitive. I did that for probably the first year she was leading worship. And she said, I am working for the day where you never have to walk on this platform again to ask people to sing. Because my goal is to make you unnecessary in this moment. Great. And it happened. There just became a certain, something clicked. And whether people believe in God or not, I've seen atheists and unbelievers in Mosaic worshiping before they believe. And it's just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I remember one of the things you started to say, and I don't know how many times you had to say it, but this idea that singing is the easiest version of worship. If you can't sing, you can't live a life that's a living sacrifice.
Yeah. And I feel like because I had such a poignant relationship to worship, that worship is life. And I felt like a lot of movements made worship singing. And it created for me a real reaction. When people go, we're going to worship, and I'm going, you're really not, you're going to sing. And singing can be worship, but worship is far more than singing. And so, I think that we've kind of looked at this from the big picture and said, worship is like an entry point. Singing is the entry point to worship. It's not the end game of worship.
That's good.
Sacrifice is the end game of worship. Servanthood is the end game of worship. So, if the people who think that worship as singing is the ultimate expression that God is looking for, I think totally missed God.
Yeah.
Worship as singing is pablum. It's the beginning. It's the way in. It's significant and important, and it'll always be a part of our life. It's like oxygen. And worship, and we could say it like that. Worship is oxygen, but just because you're breathing doesn't mean you're living.
That's good. Well, one of the things I feel like you have done for the people who follow Jesus is given us new language to explain why we do what we do, and even discipleship, raising up leaders. How are you seeing people grow in their faith at Mosaic? What are some of the things that really in these exciting days when so many are coming to faith, what's their next steps to really start growing?
Well, we skip a lot of steps. That. I've never been good with A to B to C to D. And so I'm like, give your life to Jesus, go to the Syrian border and help refugees. Which is what we do, we just, oh, great. You've given your life to Jesus, been baptized. All right, go to Lebanon and bring Muslims and Christians together.
Yeah.
You've given your life to Jesus, so do something meaningful in the world. And you probably should read the Bible because you're going to need it. You're going to pray, but we're going to put you in a situation intense enough where you're going to need to pray.
Yeah.
I think a huge part of it is that it's hard to call people to high discipline when there's low intention. And so you say to a person, pray every day, read your Bible every day. Those disciplines are kind of meaningless if you're not living a life of adventure, of sacrifice, of faith. So I feel like you have to put them in the environment where they're desperate. My son's Aaron's been surfing a lot, and he has a friend named Jamar Brown King, who's going to go surfing with him tomorrow. And Jamar is a little nervous because he can't swim. And he goes, I don't know how to tread water. And like, it's okay, you're gonna be fine. We'll get you surfing, and that's just so Mosaic like. Instead of teaching how to tread water, we're just gonna take him surfing, and he's gonna learn how to tread water while he's drowning. And
It'll do it.
so a lot of our discipleship is really activist oriented. It's getting people engaged, getting people involved, and then teaching them as they go. We've done so many things like growth groups, and I mean, as well as I do, we've tried so many different things to help people grow, and we realize the learning experience, the learning process is different for people. And I look at it and go, I don't know anyone more committed. Like my son Aaron will spend an hour probably every day studying the scriptures and praying, and I mean, he has just a real discipline of his own faith, and he puts me to shame. And I think Mariah is probably more fluid, organic in the way that she relates, but has like a deep faith in God. And I just think people are different. You got to help them figure out how they grow, and then just feed that.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things, obviously, I've learned from you. I don't remember I know you've never done a message on a quiet time with God, but instead you would share your life through the scriptures, and you can see the fruit of that in Aaron and Mariah, but also in, the leaders at Mosaic and all of the people that are growing up there. When someone's ready to oversee the life of another person, what are the signs, well, when someone wants to oversee the life of another person, when are you ready to say yes? What does it mean to be a leader at Mosaic?
Well, I don't think I would ever assign someone to be over a person just like arbitrarily. And because to me, the sign that a person's ready to be over people is they actually have people under them. You just can't throw someone in the front of the line and say lead.
That's right. Good.
Like I think leadership is really more properly perceived when there's a line and people start moving in the direction of someone in the middle. And you go, okay, there's the leader.
There you go.
And I think a lot of churches put people in line. I just put them in the crowd and then figure out which way the crowd moves. And so I look for people who just earn trust, and people just start trusting them, so they start listening to them. I look for people who bring an immense amount of energy, and when they come in, they activate faith in other people. I look for people who are not distracted by meaningless things, but stay focused with intention on the things that actually matter. And I told someone recently, I think ineffective pastors and effective pastors both do the same thing. They solve problems. The problem is that ineffective pastors, ineffective leaders solve the wrong problems, and effective leaders solve the right problems.
That's great.
And so you look for people who are able to wade through all the murkiness of all the problems you face and somehow intuitively pick the right problems to focus on. Those are some of the things I think I look for.
Well, I love that. And in my experience, even personally, certainly we had moments where we would commission people, but it's mostly doing life together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ready to be rebuked. And there were times I probably should not have been the leader, but the energy and some of the other things you may have seen elements of, but along the way, it's not like I'm out on my own. It's a continual investment in the people that you have investing in others.
Yeah, I've had this internal conversation so much going. Most of the time, a person's ceiling is completely in the direct relationship to their ability to receive input. And you just were always an eager learner. You just,
had a lot to learn.
But you didn't take things personally. You may have felt it personally, but you always absorbed it as a learning opportunity. And I've told you, you never had a ceiling. Every assignment we ever trusted you with, you rose above it. And I never experienced you where something was too big for you.
Well,
and, you can joke all you want about all the things I said about you.
Although it did remind me of the time you said, Eric, You are really good at working with people more talented than you are.
I knew you were about to say that. I knew you were about to say that. And
That's a compliment, though. That means I have a lot of people with whom I can work.
see, I feel like I'm really good at working with people who are better than me.
Well, you are really good at working with so many people, and I'm really excited about The Last Arrow. Uh, Tell us about this new book.
It's a very personal book. Um, I'm really excited. I feel like it may be the most impactful book I've ever read, and because I feel like I know it's not a self-help book. It's like a self-sacrifice book. It's not so much about self-development. It really is about optimizing your full capacity, about coming to the end of your life and living it without regret. We've lived long enough now to see people who had so much talent, so much potential, live so far beneath it. And I've had too many friends that it just feels like their life just became a hollow version of their former self. And I started wondering, what is it about us that causes us to quit and actually think that we failed? And because, one of the things you realize after a while, which races you always win? The races where you're the only one who finishes. I found myself the fastest guy on the team because everybody else quit. And I realized that even from a passage in the scripture, that a lot of us, we don't shoot our last arrow. We die with our quiver full. We die with unused potential, unused passion, unlived out dreams. And I think a lot of us have actually missed God's intention for our lives. And because we thought God would not call us to so much, that we lived our lives for less. And, I know for myself, I always struggled with like identity issues and esteem issues. And I always felt that I was incredibly untalented and ungifted, and that great things couldn't happen for my life. And I feel like a part of what drove me all my life was feeling like I was always in a deficit. And I realized that they probably were right, that I didn't have the talent or intelligence or ability. But what they were wrong about was my resilience, my determination, and my resolve. Like, I just wasn't going to quit. I just wasn't going to give up. Like I was, if I couldn't win the marathon, I was going to make it a double marathon or the triple marathon, because I was going to finish, and I was going to finish well. And I wrote this book because I felt like so many people live a life of regret. And too many of us are underestimating how generous God is and how much God wants to do in our life. And I think a lot of us live lives of obligation rather than lives of intention. And I know for many, many years, and you were with me through that, I lived a life of obligation. I lived a life, in many ways, under the stifling effect of the expectations of others and what people want for my life. And it takes a lot of courage and a lot of self-determination and a lot of faith in God to stop living your life for the expectations of others and to live the life you're created to live. And I'm hoping this book will save people a lot of years so they can begin to live the life they're created to live.
That's great. Well, Erwin, thank you for taking the time. For those who want to hear more from Erwin, go to erwinmcmanus.com, mosaic.org. There's YouTube channels. Mosaic, MSC is the band. Keep up the amazing work, bro. Thank you so much for all you do.
Hey, thank you. And hey, thanks for getting the word out on The Last Arrow. And just, pray that God would get the message out to as many people as possible. But also do what you do, man. You're so good at just creating movement. So thank you, Eric, so much, bro.
Thanks. All right.
Take care.